Okay, this one's for the young people. Anyone from like 12 to 24 years old. This is the best advice that I can give for someone who's young who just found Christ. Now, if you just found Christ or you're still searching for Christ, but you think he's the answer, here's the best advice I can give you. There's two steps: isolate and calibrate. I'm going to explain exactly what I mean by that. So, when you live your life following Jesus, which is the best decision you can ever make, by the way, what you're doing is you're saying, I'm going to build my life around this. And if you don't build your life with Jesus as the foundation, with Jesus as the cornerstone, as it says in the Bible, then you're not honestly being a Christian. So Jesus must be your foundation if you are to be a true Christian. If you are to be a true believer, your heart must be oriented towards him. Now, that being said, we display that in a variety of ways. Now, there's a couple of key ways that in your young years, you have to display that you're following Jesus in these ways. Primarily, it's going to be the choices that you make in high school and college. That includes who you date, who you hang around, and what big life changing decisions that you make. This determines the path that the rest of your life takes. So, your young years are really, really important when you're following God. Because if you decide to honestly follow God, then you have to orient your life towards Him, even if you are young, even if you think you have time. And I'm going to give you some other very helpful advice. The whole, oh, you have plenty of time thing. That's really terrible advice. Saying you have time is one of the most dangerous things that an adult can say to a kid for a variety of reasons, but the main reason is that you don't have time. See, the time you spend doing what you do right now builds how you see the world in 5, 10, 15 years. If you're always looking at things like adult content online, if you're always hanging around the wrong kinds of people who are doing the wrong things, this is going to mold you moving forward into your adult years, into your later adult years, the middle of your life. So it's crucial that you make the right choices now. But what do I mean by isolate and then calibrate? Well, this is the main crux of the idea. It's very hard to get calibrated straight with Jesus if you're always going out into the world, if you're always surrounding yourself with people who are in the world and not of Christ. And it's also very dangerous to be dating somebody, in a relationship with somebody who does not believe in Christ. Even if you think that you can bring them there, even if you think that there is hope for them, that's great. But that is ultimately probably going to hurt your walk. And that sounds like evil, bad advice, but just hear me out. When you are not alone, isolated, solo, looking at Christ and wanting to follow after Christ, there becomes a problem. And that problem is you are serving two different masters. You're serving your girlfriend, your boyfriend, and Jesus. You're serving your friends and Jesus. The problem is that that's impossible. And it's very obvious that that is impossible. See, when you have all this feedback coming in, it's easier to be pulled away from faith than if you don't have that feedback coming into your brain. So I say isolate and calibrate because isolation makes calibration possible. Calibration is extremely important because when you're calibrated, when you're on the right path, walking straight, nothing is going to knock you off the path. But the problem is that when you're already walking a different path and you decide to change routes, it's almost impossible to do it without also saying, okay, I'm going to stop walking this path. I'm going to walk backwards to the start, and then I'm going to continue from that point again, but walk a different way. Because you're going to have friends, you're going to have maybe addictions, you're going to have habits that always pull you back onto the wrong path. So, this is why a period of isolation is not just suggested, but in a way necessary. And God usually brings us into a period of isolation, to a period of waiting. And that's not a period to torture us, it's a period to test us. And it's most importantly, a period to prepare us for what's to come. If you're really serious about Jesus, you're not going to fall into the habitual sin. And most importantly, you're not going to surround yourself with things that you know will tempt you to sin. So this means worldly friends, worldly relationships, worldly habits, worldly addictions. All of these things have to go out the window if you decide to really calibrate yourself with God, and isolation comes first. If you take a step back from your friends, you say, hey, look, I need to pursue this right now. I'm thinking about this a lot right now, and I want to think about my future. I want to think about my walk with Christ, my faith. And if your friends are real friends, they will let you go, they will let you walk, and they will let you explore what you think is meaningful in life. It's really difficult to just be in a group of friends, to be in a relationship, find Christ, follow Christ with a solid foundation, and not get deferred and detracted from that path while also being surrounded by these people. It's very difficult. And you also can't honestly have a heart for God when your heart is in these other things. It's very, very, very difficult. But if you're living a life where you're isolated, you're single, you're celibate, you're not addicted to anything, this is the season to get calibrated with God. And it's simply because when you calibrate when you're alone, you're not breaking your attachment from anything, right? So if you're single right now, if you're celibate right now, if you're just alone, if you're isolated right now, it's perfect. It's prime time to get connected, to get calibrated with the Lord. Because then once you get on the right path, everything you do from there on out will be in a godly perspective. So it's okay to take a step back from life. It's okay to take a step back from your friends, from your relationship, and really focus on God. Because you have to think 5, 10 years in the future. Is this person I'm dating going to lead me towards Christ or away from them in the long run? Are these people I'm hanging around going to lead me towards Christ or away from him in the long run? You really have to think about this, and you can't ignore it. Cognitive dissonance is one of the biggest weapons against faith. It's thinking that what you're doing right now isn't going to matter. That's not true. What you do in your young years, where you go to college, who you hang around, what choices you make early, what habits you fall into, how you build yourself from the ground up as a young adult determines the rest of your life. So you gotta lock in, bro. You really gotta lock in. Because think about it. If you go through a period of isolation, which believe me, I have and still am going through currently, you're going to orient yourself in a way where you're only looking for a relationship with someone of the right quality, of someone who brings you closer to God. You're only going to pursue godly friends. You're only going to pursue godly habits. You're going to center your life around God. God's going to change your character. And then once you isolate, which is the hard part, which is the worst part, right? It's where all the studying, all the reformation, the transformation, all that loneliness, if you use it in the right way, you're going to step into your life a completely new person. And then what I've noticed is happening is your spiritual vision and discernment goes off the charts. You can see the influences behind people. You can see the influences behind certain things happening in your life. And you can say that matters and that doesn't matter. You can say, oh, this person is attractive, but I'm not going to date them because they do not have the right moral framework. This person's going to lead me away from Christ. See, you need to be calibrated in order to see which things, which aspects of your life are drawing you away from God. And this is extremely important because if you marry the wrong person, that is a path not to the narrow gate, but to the wide gate that leads to hell. Because if you're not calibrated, you're not walking with the Lord, you could marry the wrong person by accident. And that creates a huge, huge problem in your life. Because now you're trying to serve this person and be, Christ to this person when they're not trying to be Christ to you. They're not doing that intentionally for you. That's bad. Similarly, surrounding yourself with friends that don't understand, or like a majority of friends that don't understand, it's going to be dangerous for your walk because then you might get some friends that ridicule your walk, some friends that really, really poke at your faith. And if you're not solid and firm in your faith, that could rock your faith. That's not good. And all it takes to get calibrated with God, to get rock solid in your faith, is simply to take a step back, isolate yourself, and really think about the direction that you want your life to go in. It's simple yet difficult. And if you don't make the choice to do it, then I'm almost certain that if you decide to follow God and you say, God, I give you permission to work in my life, God will most likely isolate you, transform you, and then send you back out into the world as a minister of his grace. But now is the time in your life to lock in. You don't know if you're going to die tomorrow. You don't know if you're going to die tonight, today, in 2 days, in a week. You don't know when your last day on earth is. So get right with God now. Orient your heart towards God now. And not only is that only beneficial to you and not detrimental, right? Because in isolation, you're learning, you're transforming, you're studying, you're gaining spiritual wisdom, you're gaining spiritual vision and insight. And then once you step back out, you're making better choices, treating people kinder, surrounding yourself with the right relationships. I'm telling you, taking your faith in Christ seriously is the best thing that you can do for your life. It will transform how you see things, it will transform how you see people. So lock in, bro. Isolate and calibrate. Thanks for watching. Follow the call to Christ. Defend the faith. And God bless you. You got this, baby. Let's go.